I'm gonna go here. Does that work?
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, this is going to be a series I have on my channel now, where I interview my friends and anybody else who wants to be interviewed about things that they're passionate about. So, for the first interview I have is Amelia.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm not in frame. So, her interview is about Marvel. So, would you like to tell me a little bit about Marvel? Because I don't really know anything.
Okay, so Marvel has been around for a really long time, like since the 30s and 40s when they started out with Captain America comics.
Okay, so Captain America was the first. He's the original. Okay.
He's the original.
That makes sense. Because everybody's like, oh, the first Avenger. And I thought that was just like chronological, but he's like literally the first one. Okay.
Avenger.
That makes sense.
Actually, Hulk and Iron Man were the first movies
Yes,
in
okay.
the MCU.
Okay.
Captain America was the third.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Okay. I got you.
Sorry.
I'm just remembering when the movies came out, and I'm like, okay, Hulk was definitely first. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
A lot of people don't actually consider that Hulk movie. Like, they don't want it to be part of the canon because it's so shitty.
Oh, alright.
But it is, well, and it's not even the same actor.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
No.
Good point. It's not. Yeah, it's not Mark Ruffalo. Who is it then? It was Ed Norton? Weird concept. He's Fight Club guy. Okay, so Captain America was the first Avenger.
Captain America was the first Avenger.
Hulk was the first movie, or Iron Man, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, but there have been like TV series for other heroes before.
Okay.
And when Marvel nearly went bankrupt, in the like 90s, early 2000s, they sold the Fantastic Four and X-Men. Universal has Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah, because they sold Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, and X-Men because traditionally those were the biggest selling comics and the most popular comics.
So I'm gonna jump into the actual interview questions that I now completely forgot, so I'm gonna have my phone. What does Marvel mean to you personally? Like, why are you so passionate about Marvel?
Okay.
If you had to put it into words.
Marvel means a lot to me. I think most of that is we all need a superhero. We all need something to like look up to, but also see as like, this is what it could be. Like, this is how good humanity can be.
Okay.
I also like the fact that the characters are flawed in Marvel. Like, you look at Iron Man, he has really severe anxiety, and he has
super
like
self-absorbed
this front.
Yeah.
But there's more there, and I know that's kind of, it isn't like unique to Marvel, but I think it's interesting. I've also just always really liked fake things. And I grew up watching superhero movies, and so.
That's a good answer. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
That's like, because I can't really, I was thinking about this actually as I was writing these questions. I've never actually had like an obsession that's based in movies. Like exclusively, like this is weird because I'm going into television, but I've never had an obsession based exclusively on something that's just a movie.
Yeah.
And not something that was previously written. And obviously there's like comics, but it's not all based on the comics, you know what I mean?
No, well, because there's too much in the comics that's based solely on comics because everything's changing.
Right. What does the obsession with Marvel kind of say about our society?
I think that's kind of along the same lines. Like, we need a hero. We need someone who's bigger and stronger and braver. But also, like, it is so commercial.
Yeah.
And with any blockbuster series, like, you're gonna have that worldwide obsession. You think of like Fast and Furious. Like, those aren't great movies, but everyone knows what they are.
Yeah.
And it's also just like bigger than life. Like, think Star Wars, how everyone knows what Star Wars is, and part of that is that it's like so much time and money and it's just like huge. That's what Marvel is quickly becoming.
Okay, so 2 questions from that. Would you put Marvel in the same category then as Fast and Furious?
No. Well, okay, it's like in that same like summer blockbuster category, I guess.
Yeah, I would say Marvel's better.
Marvel's better.
Like, there's definitely a lot more effort. Not that there's not a lot of effort being put into Fast and Furious movies, but I feel like artistically,
there's a lot more.
There's a lot more like character development and aesthetics being put into Marvel than there is in Fast and Furious.
Especially if you've seen, like, really the latest Avengers movie, that Age of Ultron?
I have not, but I do know the plot because I've seen
Yes. Good job. But Age of Ultron and the newer Captain America movie definitely have more of that like artsy vibe and like, oh, here's a really cool like helicopter scenic shot. It's nice. It's well filmed.
Yeah.
Color palette is fantastic.
Especially in Captain America, I think, personally, out of like all the Marvel movies I've seen.
I really like the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Because I think that looks nice and it speaks to the patriotism that Cap stands for. And so, like, having the, like, stark grays to go along with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Okay, second question I had from what you said before. Do you think Marvel will ever be on the same level as Star Wars? Like, looking back, how people look at Star Wars in the 80s, do you think people will look back in 20, 30 years on the Marvel movies of now and see it in that way?
That's kind of a complex question. I feel like in fame and scope, it is already getting there. But I think that there's something special about the Star Wars franchise where there's so few films and they're so well done that in comparison to the Marvel MCU movies, specifically, not necessarily Spider-Man and the ones that have been
right.
But in the MCU, there's so many movies.
Right, and they all have different directors and different writers.
And it's also a really wide genre.
Yeah.
Where like you've got Guardians of the Galaxy that is like a stupid comedy.
Right.
And then you've got like a drama like Iron Man. So I think that wide of a scope isn't necessarily a cohesive category of movie, and I think that it is going to be as well known and as well loved as Star Wars, but I don't think it'll ever be that like thing.
So would you say there's certain movies within it that are going to be considered classics and others that will not?
Yeah, I would tentatively say that. I think that the dramas will definitely go down in history more than the comedies, although the comedies are good. Like, I loved Ant-Man. I thought it was hilarious.
I liked Ant-Man too. Who is your favorite superhero and why? I think I already know the answer to this, but I might also be wrong. I might be surprised. I don't know.
Okay, this is a hard question.
Okay.
I love Captain America. I think that Captain America as a story is really cool and really complex. I also like that he's the first Avenger and like the longevity of that and like all that that stands for as part of the genre, and how Captain America like is written in the image of his creator, I think is a really beautiful situation. I think that really speaks to what Marvel is. But I'm kind of interested to see what the current writers are going to do with the new Cap and the Hydra situation.
Right.
There's a couple of prevailing theories, if you don't mind hearing those.
I know the one, or it's not a theory, right? It's published. The Nazi thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the newest Captain America comic, it has been revealed that all of this time Captain America has been a member of Hydra, which is the Nazi organization from the original Cap comics that is tied to Hitler and the Red Skull.
Okay. That's kind of yikes.
It is kind of yikes, especially since the original writer of Captain America is Jewish.
Yeah, that's questionable.
Yeah.
But
so it is yikes. But the prevailing theory on that is that if you've seen the Marvel movies, particularly the Captain America ones, you know about the blue energy cube deal.
Okay.
And that's one of the like Infinity Stones, and that has the power to like mind control him. And so the prevailing theory is that it has something to do with the Infinity Stones, and then in some way that's controlling him, making him say, oh yeah, I've just been deep cover this whole time. And that in reality he is still a good guy. They're just hyping it a little bit.
Alright. That's kind of a weird turn, I think, to take with that. I mean, from an outsider perspective.
Yeah.
Given.
Well, and like, you know that Captain America is like a symbol of everything that is like good and American, and he's like basically a Boy Scout. And to be like, oh, everything that is good and American is suddenly really like evil is a big...
That's a kind of, yeah, that's questionable.
Yeah.
Do we know the person who wrote this? They're not obviously Stan Lee, there's somebody else.
No, he's actually a well-respected comic writer. This was approved by a board of people who already know what he's going to do with the story.
Right.
And so I have faith that it will get better. And the other thing you have to remember about Marvel, especially the comics, is that nothing is ever like just done.
Right.
Like they bring people back from the dead all the fucking time.
Yeah.
That's part of what it is as a series. And there's also like different universes within Marvel. So.
But you would say Cap is your favorite then?
I would say Cap is my favorite, but I have a very deep respect for a lot of other characters, notably Natasha Romanoff and Carol Danvers, who is Captain Marvel, who will have her own movie in 2019.
She's Brie Larson, correct?
Yeah.
I would go see that. I really like Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about representation within the Marvel movies? Because I know that is an issue that a lot of fans kind of have problems with. And I know they're trying to fix it. Like I can see like in the movies coming out, they are actively trying to fix this. But like all of the Avengers are white. Like.
Yeah, I'm getting really, really sick of black sidekicks. I want a black superhero right now. Please, thank you.
Yeah.
My biggest frustration ever with a Marvel thing was when they killed off Antoine Triplet in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I understand how that like fuels Daisy's story because Daisy's such a big player in Marvel. But why did you have to kill Trip? Why did you have to do it, Marvel? That wasn't nice. I think that it's going to get interesting with characters of color and disability in Jessica Jones. I think that it's going to get interesting with Rhodey, who is Iron Man's black best friend, now having a disability. I think that's going to be interesting in the films. There's a new comic with a Muslim girl who's the main character.
Okay.
So I think that they're going to start branching out in the comics as well. And we've also had a female Thor in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I've seen that. Okay.
So you can see them actively working
trying
on it. I would like to see more Asian representation.
Yeah.
And I really want a black superhero. I'm like a little bit frustrated with Black Widow not having her own movie, and although I understand some of the like things that went into Black Widow not having her own movie and the Scarlet Witch not having her own movie yet, I think that when Captain Marvel comes out, it's gonna have a lot to live up to because by that time DC will already have their own female-led movie out.
Right.
Because they're doing the.
Will that be the first one?
Yeah, the first big one.
First big one.
The first big one because you think there's like the Wonder Woman show.
Right.
From Cold War era.
Yeah.
But of this like new renaissance of superhero things, DC's Wonder Woman will be the first big one. And Marvel isn't used to being late to the game. So I don't know what that's gonna look like, and I feel like Captain Marvel's gonna have a lot to live up to. But I would like to see more women leads in the future.
Yeah. Why Marvel and not DC?
This is a little bit stupid, but honestly, I think that DC is really scary.
Fair, actually.
It's just a little bit too real, and I feel like if I'm going to escape, which is what I'm going to be using comic books and television shows and movies for, I don't just want to be scared shitless by a crazy maniac blowing up a hospital.
Batman is dark.
Batman's
to be fair.
Yeah.
Batman's dark.
I also think that the Superman movie that they did a couple of years back, although the Lois Lane character was fantastic, it was a really shitty movie.
Right. I've heard that. I've never been a fan of, like, okay, I'm not huge on superheroes in the first place, but like Superman himself has like really never appealed to me.
Yeah.
Something about that, like, I have never been interested in, like, whatsoever.
How do they not realize that he's Clark Kent the entire time? Like, how
I don't know.
they?
I don't know.
I don't even know. I don't get it.
It's very Hannah Montana. Like, how do you not realize?
Yeah. I think Marvel, like, it has so many flaws, but in a lot of ways it makes more sense, and it's been better handled by the writers.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen the newest DC movie, the Batman versus Superman or whatever.
I heard bad things.
It wasn't.
So I do typically like Batman, but I need to be in the right mood for it. And I need to like just go to bed afterward and like just not have any more energy after that. Like I just don't want to.
I have good memories seeing those movies, but
Yeah.
they're not ones that we need to watch over and over again.
Yeah. I do know a lot of people that watch the Heath Ledger one like repeatedly, and I cannot imagine doing that to myself. That just does not appeal to me.
Okay.
I am kind of excited for Suicide Squad, but I have feelings on that.
Pilots.
Yeah, I have feelings on that. Like
and
surprisingly,
also-
for being like a superhero movie,
Okay.
I do have opinions on Suicide Squad. I'm not okay. So Heath Ledger, right, was actually quite a normal person. He was tortured because he was depressed, and that happens. He was a method actor, so he went really deep into his role, but also like they've done enough looking into it that like he didn't go crazy when he was the Joker, like that didn't happen.
Yeah, no.
And Jared Leto's like playing off of that, so he's like literally appropriating somebody else's like mental issues into his own, and he like sends his cast members like used condoms. He sends them like weird shit, like bullets in the mail. Don't do that. But also, I really like Cara Delevingne. She's gonna be in it. I really like Will Smith, and I think the aesthetic of the movie itself seems really interesting. However, I think there's a lot of issues with how things are handled. And I feel like it's not going to be the most PC movie ever, which obviously I'm just gonna have to get over. But I think they're trying very hard to be very like hot topic edgy, and that.
But I kind of like that brand of edgy.
I do like that brand of edgy. I mean, obviously, like I grew up with that kind of aesthetic. Also, it's like very pandering, I think, after a point.
Yeah. I'm excited to see it.
I'm
though.
excited
I will
to see
see
it.
it in
Yeah.
theaters, unlike almost all of the DC movies. Okay, but my opinion on DC movies does not go for the TV shows as well. I love The Flash, I love The Arrow, those are fantastic.
I think that pretty much answers the DC question though.
Yeah, I think
we pretty much covered it.
I like Marvel.
We went off on
more.
different tangents,
That's it.
but
I just like Marvel more.
and I definitely get that.
Yeah.
I definitely do. Final question: what is the future of Marvel? Because right now, I think they're at, I wouldn't say a peak, but it's possible that they've hit the peak. And where do they go after that?
Okay. I think that they're gonna keep going as long as they're still making money.
Okay.
I think that that's the answer to that. They already have a schedule out for phases 3 and 4 of the Avengers project. And so they've like casted already for phase 4, and we're still like only halfway through phase 3. And so obviously they're gonna still make movies. They're also working on a new TV series starring a couple of the characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And they're gonna go towards the Infinity Wars that characters like Captain Marvel will have a big part in. They're gonna continue to branch out into different types of media because they've already done the TV shows. They've been doing a really good job of Netflix originals. I think that they're gonna like keep going in that direction. One of the newer things that they did for Ant-Man and Captain America, what was it? Civil War. Captain America Civil War was YouTube videos. There's a
That's cool.
Marvel news channel called WHIH, and the reporter from that is the same lady from the Iron Man movies, the blonde lady.
Okay.
That he has sex with in the first movie.
Yep.
It's that actress, and it's basically clips from a fictional news outlet.
That's really cool.
That are like interviews with Ant-Man and that type of thing.
Okay.
And also they're just kind of fun to watch. Like
Right.
on the bottom of the screen, it's like scrolling news.
Oh.
So like with all of the
that
Captain
sounds-
America Civil War videos, there was like stuff about the Sokovia Accords like scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and it was really fun. I had to watch them all like 6 times to take in all of the information that was happening on the screen.
That's a cool little like hidden thing for fans. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like it when movies and like TV shows can branch out to the internet because I think that's the future. And just accepting that it's the future is
For sure.
good answers. Okay, that is the end of the interview. I enjoyed this a lot. I learned a lot. I'm glad I learned a lot. Because I do find like Marvel and superheroes and all of the culture really interesting, even if they're not like my kind of thing I enjoy watching. Like, if there's a big fandom somewhere, I'm really interested in just the opinions and all of that. So, thanks for sitting on my couch.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
People watching, probably just Taiwanese.